Welcome to Stuck, Time to Improv. I'm Mary Scott with Business Riff, and we want all startups to be wildly successful. Today, we're going to be talking about marketing for apps, particularly, and our expert today is Stephen Anderson from ACP Management Services, LLC. And welcome, Stephen. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate the time.
Great. So you're a marketing expert, right? And a lot of our startups are creating apps. So are there particular things people should know about or think about when they're talking about marketing an app?
Well, the answer is it doesn't really matter what you're selling. The same answer is you need to elicit an emotional response from the people. It's just the way that you write your words that's different for each and every type of business. And I'll give you some examples in just a few minutes. It doesn't really matter how good your business, how good your product or service is. If you don't get the right message out there to get people to want to respond, then it doesn't really matter.
Talk to me more about the emotional appeal that you go for.
Okay. Well, let me give you some examples of each and every one of those that I was talking about. Every business has heard your term, the elevator pitch, that which means your initial description of what you do. Many consultants teach you their view on elevator pitches, but what I have found is the best one is to elicit either a question in the mind of the listener or an emotional response. And you want to word it where it shows you are apart from any other of your competition. This strategy can easily be used in any of your marketing messages, not just your elevator pitch. Potential clients are always asking themselves, what's in it for me? And I'm sure you've heard the term whiff 'em. So you need to phrase your elevator pitch where it answers that question immediately. Case in point, I'm working with a client that said she is a security consultant. Well, does that elicit a question in your mind of exactly, well, what is a security consultant? But that does not elicit a strong emotional response in the mind of the listener. So I told her to use, I eliminate your fear of being hacked. You want to get them to ask you, well, how do you do that? And then she says, we put in safeguards in all of your electronic devices or cell phone. If anybody is using a computer hooked up to the internet or using a cell phone, they will certainly think about how secure they really are. Another example is with an accountant. An accountant says they do bookkeeping and handle taxes for businesses. Does that elicit an emotional response or get the listener to want to ask you, well, how? Of course not. So they should say something like, we eliminate your fear of having to deal with the IRS. Wow, that's a very emotional for everybody, isn't it?
Okay, can we talk about startup businesses a little bit more? I mean, these are folks who have brand new ideas. They want to go change the world, and they've come up with an app that gamifies keeping track of their own medical history, or an app that helps them work the stock market better, or some other interesting, an app that helps handymen keep track of their inventory and their hours. So these are tech things, and there might be something special that a startup can use.
Oh, sure. So what was that first app that you were talking about? And I'll address that one directly.
Someone's got a new app that helps keep track of your medical issues.
Okay, that's easy. Are you anxious? Are you having trouble finding the medical information that you're trying to find? Or something like that. So again, you're trying to build up an emotional response. It doesn't really matter what it is, but you have to word the message to that particular app. As an example, what was the second one?
There's an app to help handymen. people who just do odd jobs around people's houses keep track of their inventory and their hours so that they can invoice clients as well as occasionally hire somebody to help with something.
Okay.
Keep
All
track
right.
of all that stuff.
Are you struggling with keeping track of all of your inventory? Do you feel stressed out because you can't keep your hours straight for billing purposes? So you're trying to build up that emotional element and ask them, get them to say, well, how do you do that? Or we're trying to word the question where it says, if they are a potential client, they say, yes, I am stressed about that. How do you fix that? And that opens the door for that conversation. So you have to word it where you're coming up with an emotional element that they're having to struggle with that your app can solve for them.
Okay. Or for an app that helps, that lets you play betting games on the golf courses. Wouldn't you love to have friendly competitions with your friends on the golf course and keep track in this app? And so, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's that's a good one. Would
Okay.
you like to be able to let's see. Would you like to be able to keep track of all of your money that you're winning or losing in your golf efforts?
Right.
In
Or
your golf
have
games?
your handicap on your phone at a moment's notice.
There you go. Exactly. So again, you're trying to build up the question, and then here's the key element to this. You have to word the question whereby if they are a good prospect, they're going to say yes.
Right. Right. So it's that emotional appeal to somebody's pain point. They either know
That's
they
right.
have or don't quite realize they have. So that if you bring up there's a pain point here, and have you ever wanted to solve that?
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
I have the magic. Yeah.
There you go. Another example is an app that keeps track of your hours, like a calendar. Are you really frustrated with not being able to find all of your meetings and being able to attend your meetings on time?
Okay. Well, this has been great. And those are excellent tips and excellent examples of how to start a conversation and get people more interested in what you're doing. And that's what marketing is all about, right?
Exactly. So this can be used two ways. One, when I'm talking about elevator pitch, that's when you're at, let's say, a meeting with individuals in a group setting, and you never met someone before, and they're going to ask you, "Hi, my name is Steven Anderson. What do you do?" And then you have to have that ready. So it's called an elevator pitch, but the same concept can be used in your marketing messages, regardless of what type it is. If you're doing email marketing, if you're doing Facebook or LinkedIn marketing, you still have to use that concept to get them to want to ask you, well, how do you do that? And that starts the conversation.
Which is what we want to do. Well, thank you very much, Steven Anderson, for coming on the show today. And again, I'm Mary Scott with Business Riff, and we want startups to be wildly successful. So join us again for Stock Time to Improv.